Hello everyone. Let us begin your class. Where were we? Take your book. Pole science, right? Civics, chapter 1, our constitution. Yes, that was the chapter. Are we done with it? Let's see. Page number 263. Not yet. Some of the topics are yet to be covered, right? All right. Let's try to end up the chapter today. Hope you all are studying at home, huh? Missing your school, friends, especially the teachers, right? Hmm. Even the teachers are missing you. Hmm? Anyways, very soon this hope that this pandemic gets over and we are back to normal. Everything becomes we live a normal life again. Can't help it. The situation is not in our control. What to do? We have to deal with it in this manner. This is the only way. All right. So as long as we are not able to meet one another in person, we have to continue in this manner. We have to continue in this manner so that we can meet one another in person, right? We can save ourselves, protect ourselves from this disease. So, page number 265, secularism. Let's start with it. The Constitution of India declares that India is a secular country. That is, there is no official religion of the country. Please underline that. There is no official religion of the country. Country means our country. There is no official religion of the country. All right. Every person has the right to practice and follow his her own religion. That is what secularism means, which means all religion must be treated equally. Okay, and also there cannot be any discrimination on the basis of religion. That is called being a secular country in simple term. All right, secularism, all religion are equal and anybody can practice his or her own religion, okay, and has got the right to follow. Nobody can force or compel someone that no, you cannot practice this religion, you cannot follow this, you have to follow this religion, you have to, then it's a crime. He or she can be punished. Next, we have fundamental rights. The Constitution of India guarantees certain basic rights. Underline, circle that word, basic rights. Basic. I'll explain you what is that basic. The Constitution of India guarantees certain basic rights to all its citizens. These are called fundamental rights. Nobody can violate these rights, and a citizen can approach the code of law if his her fundamental rights are violated. This is something, you know, before I explain you this fundamental rights, this law, this constitution of India is one of the I consider it one of the finest constitution, as it is, as we have read. Where did we read? Where is it? You just read the text. I have explained to you, I remember that it is the longest constitution. Where is it, man? I'm not able to find now. Okay, whatever it is, it is the longest constitution in the world, right? It is not. I believe that this is not only the longest constitution. In fact, it is the best constitution, finest constitution, provided you know about it. You know the articles, the laws, the schedules which are being mentioned out there. There are more than 400 articles. If you know the law, there is each and every, this is actually for us. This is made for us. Constitution is made for the people of the country, for you, for me. Now, see, fundamental rights is one such. Many of us, we even don't know our basic rights, right? And anybody can, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can make a fool of us. But if you're aware about it, if you know this fundamental rights and all, I'm very much interested towards this constitution, especially the law and all, the various act. Personally, I like reading those things, and various sections of law. If you know about it, it's actually for your own benefit. It is for your own safeguard. It acts as a security, safety, protection for you. So know about it. It's very interesting. Fundamental rights. Now, had it been a physical class, I'm sure some of you, I'm not saying that everybody, all the fundamental rights that we have, that is being guaranteed to us as a citizen, some of you might, you will be missing one or the another. So know about it. Okay, what are these basic rights that we have, which nobody can take from us, and no matter whatever it is. Yes, there are some certain conditions, but which is the extreme condition, that too there is a clause for it. Only on those ground these fundamental rights can be taken away from a citizen, but extreme conditions. All right. And or else, if anybody tries to even interfere or violate these rights of yours, he or she can be easily, no matter whoever is that person, can be dragged to the court. Oh, as I asked you, it's written here. Can you name some of the fundamental rights? Try it out. Next, we have, yes, duties as well. Along with the right, we have some basic responsibilities for our country, for our motherland. So, this is called, you can call as a, code of conduct, how to conduct yourself. In fact, India being a country, not only a country, you go to like the school where you are studying, at your home, right? Everywhere there is a code of conduct. Code of conduct means how you behave yourself, how you fulfill your responsibility, your duties which are being assigned to you. That's called code of conduct. So the Constitution also mentions a code of conduct for the citizen, which is termed as fundamental duties. Following the fundamental duties helps us to become a good citizen. We will learn about the fundamental rights and duties in the next chapter. So, in detail, we will deal with this rights and duties in the next chapter. For now, you just have to know that the Constitution guarantees us some of the basic rights and also duties or responsibilities that we, as a citizen of our country, must adhere to, must follow. Next, we have the Constitutional Amendment. The Constitution of India is able to adapt itself to the changing needs of the society. Since it was framed, many social and economic changes have taken place in the country. Some guidelines given in the Constitution might have become outdated, so, by a process of amendment, it is possible to add or modify the existing rules of the Constitution. For example, in 2005, the Hindu Succession Amendment Act gave daughters equal share in the parental property. As the Constitution continuously modifies itself to suit the needs of the people, it is called a living document. Alright, underline the last paragraph. Is it a paragraph or a part of this? It's a paragraph. Underline the last paragraph, that as the Constitution continuously modifies itself to suit the needs of the people, it is called a living document. Amendment, in simple layman's term, modification. Now, we all know, as even mentioned in your book, that this constitution was being implemented, okay, formally adopted 26 January 1950. Today is, what is the date? 2021, right? June 26, 1950, 2021. 50, 60, 70. They're about more than 70 years, 7 decades ago. This. So, look at the society that we have today. The society that we have today and the society which existed 70 years ago, there's a vast difference. So, if we try to live a life, keeping in mind of the society which existed 70 years ago, living in this present period, that's not justifiable. Because along with the time, when changes takes place, change is a part and parcel of life. So likewise, even at times, in order to fit into the situation, rules must also be changed according to the situation, okay, according to the environment, okay, the scenario. So that is called amendment. But however, the constitution is not changing. I'm thinking, what am I saying? Modifying. I think you might have come across nowadays this, what you call, even in the roads and all, big I see this youngsters, people, bikes, scooties and all, they modify like a different type. I don't understand. Some of the portions are not there. I don't know where it goes. Anyways, it's their own personal choice, taste of what do you call, you can say this, how to make things look in a different way, fine. But no matter how much they modify the engine of the vehicle, that remains the way it was. They may modify the parts and all, some parts they may, you know, remove it, or they may add it extra, but the engine, the main part, that is not being changed. Constitution. Some of the rules can be changed, but not that entire constitution will be changed. No, modified. Okay, amend. That's called amendment. I hope you got understanding of what is amendment. There's an amendment given, as even though constitution was drafted in 1950, I mean not drafted, sorry, it was adopted, it was implemented in 1950, but however, in 2005, recently, how many years back? 2005, 15, 10, 5, 16 years back, right? Just recently, 16 years back, an amendment was met with regard to Hindu Succession Amendment Act. Earlier, it so happened that, before this amendment, that the property of a parent, I'm talking about Hindu religion, okay, Hinduism, as mentioned in your textbook, the property of a parent only goes to the son. What about the daughter, man? Is the daughter not your child? So that was something which existed during then, those days. But as I told you, as the society started changing, people started changing. So according to the change, this rule was also changed, that from now on, as per the Hindu Succession Amendment Act, even daughters will get equal share of the parental property. Parental means parents' property. Okay, so this is one of the what do you call it? Example of amendment. Now, as the constitution keeps on modifying itself, modifying, as I gave you the example, bike, cars, and all, they modify. So, as the constitution keeps on modifying themselves according to the needs of the people, so that they can suit with. Now, this is 2021. The rules that we have in place, let's say, imagine, say, 2051, 30 years from now, for sure, again, there will be many amendments which will be taking place in the constitution, because 2051, who knows what will be the future society. So since it keeps on changing according to the needs of the people, so that it can suit with the people, that is why it's called living document. It is surviving, right? Living. Next, we have need for law. The constitution of the country seeks to secure equality and justice for everyone in the society. However, inequalities and injustice is prevalent in the society due to varied reasons such as age-old customs, poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance. In fact, before going to the next line, I just want to explain this much first of all. Yes, Constitution says that everybody must be treated equally. Everybody must be treated, dealt in the same manner according to the law of the land, which means that everybody must get equal justice. But however, I know that inequality, injustice exists in our society. And the mention, please underline the reason that is being mentioned, that why, in spite of being a law in place, which is clearly mentioned in the constitution that all must be treated equally, but still inequality exists because of age-old customs, poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance. You talk about, from my perspective, I'm sharing, you talk about age-old customs, you talk about poverty, you talk about ignorance. But whether it's age-old customs or poverty or ignorance, these three can be solved if that point is removed. Illiteracy. That means if we educate ourselves. Who said this? I forgot. Nelson Mandela. That the only way to change the world is through education. So all these things, we talk about age-old custom, we talk about poverty, we talk about ignorance, it can be changed, provided we educate ourselves. And that is the reason we find this inequality and injustice in our society even today. Next, economically and socially stronger section of the society, another reason. Economically and socially stronger section of the society, they tend to exploit the poorer sections, leading to various discriminatory practices. The best example for this will be the Bollywood movies. You see, at times, there's the villains, the gundas, They use their money power, muscle power, and they try to, what do you call, overpower, dominate the poor people. In most of these movies, this is a, movies and all. Yes, those characters, they act, but someone has written the story, the script, with some thought, okay, with some thought process. So that is what is described out here. Economically and socially stronger, those people, those who are economically, financially, means rich people, socially, those who have got good hold in the society, they try to exploit, they try to make use of the poor people for their own personal benefit, which ultimately leads to various discriminatory practices. And if we have to eradicate such injustice and discrimination, what is the way out? Let's see. The government, on the basis of the provision of the constitution, creates and implements certain laws, and that is where law comes in between, or law comes in picture. Why do we need law, man? If all of us, which country was it? Iceland. I keep on reading many things, this, what do you call it? It was Iceland or Switzerland, I forgot. A country which doesn't have a army or defense system, something like that. Just go, I forgot, but there is a country today also. There is no defense system, no army. Why? When do we need the law? We need the law when we become inhuman. Yeah, it's simple as that. When we become inhuman, we just have the physical structure of humanity, I mean human being, but no humanity within us. Then we need law. Otherwise, there is no need. If everybody, okay, you, me, we, all of us, if we live our life doing all our basic responsibilities, you know, basic rights without hampering anyone, hmm, with, there is no need of any law. So, to eradicate such injustice and discrimination, the government has made this, what do you call it, certain laws. And through this law, the government again aims to establish equality and social justice. So, I hope you understood. The whole paragraph is important. Why do we need if the question is why do we need law, the entire paragraph is an answer. Okay, so that the government can establish equality and social justice. That is why law is in place. Next, we have dissent. Dissent. What is dissent? It's like basically opposing, not accepting, going against. Let's see what this has to tell us. Sometimes, when people are not happy with certain law, they are allowed to show their displeasure in the form of protesting, opposing. This is called dissent. Underline that. When people are not happy, they are allowed to show their displeasure. Recently, I think a year ago, maybe a year ago, I don't, but recently it happened. There was this form of protest even in our state, in our locality, right, with regard to a particular law. I hope you're aware about it. It's in the news, books and all, everywhere. So that is called dissent, okay. In a democratic country like India, such protests are very common. In a democracy, public opinion plays an important role. If one section of the people is not happy, they take up the help of a mass media to influence other people in the society. All right. So since we live in a democratic country, so as a result, this, you will find protest something which is very common, which can be seen very often, as because democracy itself means what? People's government. So when people are not happy, supposing a government made a law, but the law is for the whom? For the people, right? For the public. So if the public, people, they are not happy with it, so they have every right to oppose it. And as a result, what does they do is this: if they are not happy, they try to take the help of mass media and all, so that they can also influence other people that please come and support us, come and join us, so that in order to protest and all. So as a result, this dissent, sometimes opposing, at times becomes mass protest. Yeah, where is it? Yes, thus dissent becomes mass protest. Sometimes mass protest can lead to changes in existing law. However, it is important to protest in a peaceful manner. Note that. I repeat, however, it is important to protest in a peaceful manner without disrupting the life or property. Underline that. This is something, as I told you, education. Yes, you have every right to protest, but in a peaceful manner. In fact, even if you see the way our country got freedom, nationalism, the way our country achieved nationalism, the so-called M.K. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, right? Even he did protest, but in a peaceful manner, without being violent. So each one of us have got right to protest, but in a peaceful manner and without destroying without damaging any life or any property. Okay, some of the examples of opposing or of not being happy with the government is being mentioned. Let's see. Let's read out. There were wide-scale protests against reservation provision for the backward classes during the 1990s. The protests turned violent, and in many places, students destroyed public property. Some students even attempted self-immolation. These are something not accepted. Where did your education go, man? Students destroyed public property, and some even attempted self-immolation, which is very wrong. So that is what I was just emphasizing on it, that you have every right to protest, but in a peaceful manner and without damaging any life and property. Next, after the proposal to make Telangana a separate state was passed, there were wide-scale protests by people in other states also demanding separate states. In Assam, people disrupted the rail service by creating blockades. You decide yourself, is it right? Yes, you have right to, but somebody, a train is moving, okay, train is passing by, and you are blocking the rail tracks and all. You will not allow the train. What has the train done? I don't understand. Did the train do something this with regard to this law and all? And the people, those who are traveling in that train at that moment, okay, some of who knows what condition they might be going through. Some of them maybe their health condition is not good, maybe they have to reach at a certain place for a doctor's appointment or for a particular operation, or maybe some of them's family member passed away at home, and they need to reach there at the right place for the last offering and all. Why am I sharing this? Please understand this, because today you fellows are kids, but very soon, after 10-15 years, you will be, some of you will be among this protest. That's because what I mean to say is that you are the future of our society, right? So if you learn these things from now, you have every right to protest. Go ahead, peaceful manner, no damage, no destruction to any life, any property. Nobody must be hampered. See these things. Okay, when one got a separate state, the other states are demanding for it. All right, fine, you can demand. You as a kid, when I was a kid, we demanded so many things from our parents. I need this chocolate, I need this football, basketball. We demanded. But is it correct, when supposing the parents are not able to give, you will come and destroy the things at home? No, not accepted. Not accepted at any cost. So I hope you understood what I'm trying to convey you. Okay. Oh, even the book is asking the same thing. See the last written in italic. I'll read out. Do you think such forms of protest are justified? Can you think of some forms of non-violent protest? So the question which I asked you, even the book is asking you. Think about it. Think. Okay, there are some examples given in the form of a case study. One talks about the law against dowry system. You know dowry? What is the during marriages and all? Many a times this what you call the, what is it called? The bridegroom, right? Yeah. At times earlier it was there. Now also I don't know whether it's there or not in our society. They demand from the bride's family that you have to give this much amount, you have to give such things, and only I will marry. Why? This is another thing which goes above my head. There are so many things which existed in our society. So see, these things change with the time, because I am not from 1950s and all, which existed during those days, 40s, 50s, 60s, right? So change in system, change in law, change in constitution, amendment. So read this for your own knowledge. The questions will be included from these examples. Law against dowry, history of decent, even about Mahatma Gandhi's example, the example which I gave you, it's mentioned here also. Satyagraha, salt march and all. Same example, see? Page number 267, right on top. See, Satyagraha said we have right to protest, but non-violent. Alright, with this we come to the end of the text, this particular chapter. Okay. So let us just recapitulate the entire chapter and see some of the key points. That doesn't mean that the entire key points of the text is here. You have to go through even in between the text and between the lines. So some of the key points, that is, the Constitution is written as a written document and is a source of all law. Very careful. I kept the Constitution. I downloaded this. What do you call? Nowadays there are so many applications, right? I downloaded the Constitution of India. There's an app from Play Store. It's in my mobile phone. India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic. The Indian Constitution defines the right and duties of the citizen and the power and function of the government. The process of amendment enables the Constitution to change itself according to changing time, and thus it's a living document. Sometimes reason can lead to violence and turmoil, which is wrong, which must not be. Yes, so the glossary, which means the word meaning, and we have in the blanks true or false, match the column. Yeah, that's all. Some short questions in brief and some descriptive. Yes, please do not forget the HOTS question. You just have one. Despite constitutional provision to secure equality of treatment, inequalities and injustice are prevalent in the society. Why? We have discussed, right? So many topics we have discussed because of this, what do you call, economically, socially stronger section of the society, and so many ways. Hmm? All right, please go through the text. I hope you understood this chapter. Fine. If you listen to my explanation, that's enough for you. That much I can assure you. Provided if you listen. Hmm? So 50% of the tasks will be done if you listen, and the remaining 50% when you read the text. All right, see you in the next class then. Study well. God bless you all.